How's it going? I'm Aaron.
I'm Michael.
Welcome to the Nerd Herd. This is a podcast we're going to get going here. Pretty much just try and keep people up to date on tech news that we've seen, things we like, things we find cool, things that we haven't seen on other YouTube channels. So, Michael?
So we're actually going to start it off with the something that Aaron found that he thought was interesting because I am a retro gamer. I like old style games and everything, and he had found and I'm pulling it up right now, a Mario 64 game that sells for a record-breaking 1.5 million at auction. Now, mind you, this game was a 9.8 A++ rating. Like he was telling me the other day that it's ridiculous on the price that people spend on these games. Uh, and what's even crazier is in the article it says another copy of Super Mario 64 in the same auction with a 9.6 A++ rating sold for, and I love the wording that they use, a comparatively affordable $13,200.
So here's where my complaint for these come in. I mean, yeah, that's great. So you're collecting, you're getting your cool stuff together. But imagine being the dude who just spent $1.5 million on something this big, little piece of plastic, and then some guy down the row got one 99% cheaper because it had a crease in the wrapper that thick. Um, I think that's kind of funny. But the whole thing with the collector's market these days is everything is ridiculously priced. Whether you're in computers, you're into game, you are a nerd like us and play different video game or different card games. He plays Pokemon, I play Magic. It's all ridiculously expensive, but I don't understand this one specifically because at least when it comes down to like trading card games or other hot commodities, the reason those prices are so high is because of rarity. In this situation, these games sold millions and millions and millions of copies. There's no shortage of them. In fact, if you saw a documentary a few years ago, there was an ET Atari cartridge that was buried in the desert because they had too many of
But in all fairness,
them.
E.T. no one liked.
It's not that nobody liked it, it's that nobody understood it. It was misunderstood.
But to continue on the games that sell at a ridiculous amount, and I know this one is pretty close to Aaron because he loves this game. I had found uh, an article that someone had bought a sealed copy with a 9.2 A rating for $600 of Skyrim. And
So,
I just think that's crazy because it's it's a good game. Don't get me wrong; it is a good game, but for six
I'll,
hundred dollars,
I'll take this one. I have over 3,000 hours in Skyrim across multiple platforms, whether it's PC. I have the most on the 360 and Xbox One. And I even have it on the Switch now because who needs Skyrim on the go? I do. That's who. Um,
hey, I have Skyrim on the go as well. I
this
mean,
one I really don't get this one because I can go down to my GameStop that's 5 minutes down the road and say, "Hey, I'm looking for a sealed copy of Skyrim 360." They'll go in the back dumpster and pull one out. They were they couldn't sell enough of these. The game itself is great, but when it first launched, there were so many problems with it that a lot of people didn't think it was worth the $650 I think it was at the time that it sold for. And now you've got somebody buying an original copy that's bugged to hell and back, has so many different problems for $600. 10 times the original asking price. That's one I can't wrap my head around it. It might be because it's so recent. It might be a recency bias issue. It might be the fact that maybe we're moving into a new era of collectibles where the Xbox 360, which is now two console generations old, is considered vintage. But I can't get my head around spending $600 on a Skyrim disc.
I can't get my head around spending any more than $60 on any game. Honestly, that's just me, and I love games. But to continue with this, in the article, it also says that a 9.4 A rating sealed copy of Tomb Raider from the PlayStation 1 sold for. What did it say it sold for? Let me.
Did we say like $300 or
Nope.
something?
That getting to that. It sold for $144,000. The sealed
So
copy of Tomb Raider.
that's an original Tomb Raider from the PlayStation. So To give a little bit of context, I did the research. What these ratings mean is a perfect 10 rating is the guy picking it up off of the assembly line and saying this is a 10 rating. Anything after that, if it's been gone through the resale market at all, if it's hit retail stores, it's almost impossible to get a 10. That being said, a 9.8 is very impressive. The guy probably kept it in a sealed bag. Even going down to a 9.4, it probably doesn't have a whole lot of issues with the box, not a whole lot of issues with the wrapping cartridges. But $100,000 for Tomb Raider. Tomb Raider itself was not that great of a game. Call me a Zoomer. You feel free to. I'm spoiled. My first video game was on the GameCube, but it wasn't that great of a game. I mean, the level design was good. The character design were good. Everybody loved the triangle boobs, but it just wasn't that great of a game. Why anybody would spend $100,000 on this cartridge, I cannot comprehend.
Well, that's also like Red Dead Redemption sold for $384, a sealed copy of that. Which
See,
it was a decent game. Don't get me wrong, it was. But to buy a game that isn't super old, like The Legend of Zelda, or shoot, go back even further and into the Atari era, and that I understand because those are very old, very hard to find, and very collectible. But I was also reading in this article, sorry to interrupt you, a couple days before, someone purchased an early 90s US Army training device for $18,600. That amounts to a replica M116 that can plug into a Super Nintendo.
Super. So here's the way I'm gonna think about it. I think we're just getting old. You have to think about it this way. Skyrim released in 2008. That game is going to be 20 years old in a few years, which is terrible to think about. It makes me feel ancient anyway.
And you're not even that old.
He's a boomer, I'm a zoomer. It works out great. But I think it's like I said earlier, we're just reaching that era where the stuff we grew up on is considered vintage now. You can't find a GameCube under $100 anymore at collector's stores.
Nope. And what's crazy is I still have the original purple GameCube and
for myself
and the original Nintendo, not just the Nintendo 64 or the Super Nintendo. I have the original Nintendo.
NES, the Nintendo Entertainment System,
and it still works to this day. Like I won't get rid of it because it holds up. Yes, it was 8-bit technology, but when you put in a Mario game, with how old it is, it still holds up.
Well, we brought up the fact that we're getting old. We brought up the fact that our childhoods are fleeting and running away from us. But let's kind of counteract that a little bit with this other article that we found this week. This is going to be great for any Smash Bros. Fans, any battle fighting games fans. Nickelodeon is releasing a new version of the All-Star Brawl. This is something I'm excited about because I was a Nickelodeon kid growing up. Some people were Cartoon Network, some people were Disney Channel. I grew up watching Powerpuff Girl. That was Cartoon Network. I grew up watching Danny Phantom, Fairly Odd Parents, SpongeBob, Ren and Stimpy. All those old Nickelodeon classics. They're all going to be in this Brawl style game. I think they're also going to have like a Reptar in there. Is that what I heard?
Yeah, there's a list on this article of some of the characters that are going to be featured in it. Michelangelo, Leonardo, Nigel Thornberry, Powdered Toast Man from Ren and Stimpy, SpongeBob, Sandy Cheeks, Patrick Star, Ablina. I haven't heard of that one. It's from Real Monsters.
I never watched All Real Monsters.
Lucy Loud, Lincoln Loud from The Loud House, Helga from Hey Arnold, Reptar from Rugrats, Zim from Invader Zim, and Danny Phantom.
So obviously, victory for Zim, right? If you're playing, you got to play as Zim. But I think I'm really excited for this game. I did get the Nickelodeon Kart Racers for the Switch. It was okay. I think it still had that PlayStation 2 feel, graphics to it, and I'm kind of worried this is going to have that same issue. But overall, it plays well, and it's not designed for people our age to play, you know?
And it's understandable with the graphics because it is a Nickelodeon game. When it comes to Nickelodeon games, we've come to expect that it's just going to look cartoony and look a little funky. That's just how Nickelodeon games are, whether it be the Nickelodeon Kart Racers, SpongeBob, Battle for Bikini Bottom, really any Nickelodeon game, they just look cartoony.
It's those classic THQ developer games, you know?
Right. But
Moving in. Go ahead. Go ahead.
to change it up a little bit, I'm gonna pull up this article. I'm gonna let you talk about it because you know a little bit more about it. We are switching over to talking about the Ghostwire Tokyo delayed.
So a few years ago, I'll start with the backstory. A few years ago, Microsoft acquired a lot of studios in a massive multi-billion-dollar purchase. Obviously, Bethesda was one of those, and then another was a lesser-known developer by the name of Tango GameWorks. If you're familiar with the Evil Within series, you're familiar with these guys. They, at the time, were developing a game called Ghostwire Tokyo. Ghostwire Tokyo was going to be released for the PlayStation as an exclusive, which Tango GameWorks was working specifically with Sony for this game. There's been a little bit of controversy about it anyway, because it was announced that it will not be ported over onto the Xbox despite the fact that Microsoft owns it. There's rumor we may get a Windows release, so that might be cool. We're PC gamers. I'm not too worried about the Xbox release, but there are a lot of people that were upset that this game isn't going to get moved over to a all-platform game. The developers just announced that for the safety of their developers and for their team, they're going to be postponing the release until 2022. To me, it sounds a little fishy. Obviously, we live in an era of uncertainty right now. Lots of stuff going on with the pandemic, a lot of problems. But this is a AAA title. The developer isn't just going to stop because a few people feel uncomfortable. These developers, specifically Microsoft, need to make this money. This year has been a very weak year for releases. I had this conversation earlier. I think Resident Evil Village is going to get Game of the Year just because there's very little competition for it. This is a game that had the potential to come up and take that out of it from left field. The only other game now that we have is Horizon Forbidden West, which is also being rumored to getting pushed back to 2022. But this game, if you like Dishonored, if you like Cyberpunk, it's kind of a cool mix of the two. From what I've seen of it, there's not a whole lot of gameplay footage out there. It was released at the PS5 reveal event, I believe, last year. But they're pushing it back for the safety of their people. I personally think there's a problem with it. We saw Cyberpunk get pushed back over and over again, even in the middle of a pandemic, and it was because there were release issues. I think they're maybe considering a port to Microsoft after all. I'm just concerned with the kind of flimsy reasoning behind it.
I think most of the pushback is probably because it's just not ready to release yet, and they're trying to work out the bugs. But they're trying to, like you said, they're trying to work on having their developer team feel comfortable. But I honestly think that's just probably a way for them to push it out and say, hey, we're going to be delaying this until 2022. But mainly, it's probably to fix bugs and stuff like that.
And with video games and movies, there's a very common thread. So video games, you're going to see some of the best releases come out around the holidays, which is when this was scheduled to come out. Halo Infinite we're getting this year. Horizon Forbidden West we're getting this year around the holidays. This is where a lot of the big titles are going to make their push. This is where we're going to see a lot of big things. Games that push till after that, you typically get a bad taste in your mouth. Obviously, Resident Evil Village this year was a bit of an exception to that rule. Mass Effect Legendary Edition came out in March, which was a bit of an exception as well, but you don't see a whole lot of these games get that kind of push right after the holidays. So I'm a little worried about the release window. I'm a little worried about the development, but at this point, it's all just speculation.
And the biggest reason, and like you said, a lot of these game companies want to push their games out during the holidays. And pushing it out after the holidays, you're not going to make as much sales as if you were to push it out during the holidays. Because with the holidays, you got people that don't know much about games. They're going to be buying their gamer friends and family games. And if you're not pushing new games out in the holiday, they don't have nothing to buy their friends and family.
Christmas, Black Friday, those are two of the premier technology game selling holidays that you see. A lot of these developers make their yearly profit during those two holidays. When the Xbox One first released with the PlayStation 4, that Black Friday was crazy. They made a South Park episode about how insane it was.
Mm-hmm.
This is the time you want to be releasing these games. Like I said, it just gives me a bad taste in my mouth pushing it forward.
But I also wonder if they're pushing it back to eliminate, because with the pandemic, to eliminate having so many people in stores at once, especially on Black Friday, because Black Friday is ridiculous.
It is ridiculous. But at the same time, I'm not expecting a lot of physical disc sales these years. I know I personally don't buy discs anymore. I haven't bought a disc since my first Xbox One, and I don't think that's the market that they're really appealing to anymore. I was looking it up while I was just right here out of curiosity. In 2018, 83% of all video and computer games were sold digitally. And in a poll that was done, the sale of games between 2018 and 2019 to a digital format jumped by 10%.
Yep.
So I think we're going to keep seeing that.
And the biggest reason why is because nowadays you can get better deals on the Microsoft Store on Xbox. With PC, you got Steam Summer Sale, which is huge. Then you've got, now I'm not a big fan of the PlayStation Store's deals because they're not as good, but you've also got Game Pass and all
Green Man
these.
Gaming.
You've got all these subscription-based stuff nowadays for gaming that you don't need to always buy these new games. I can tell you most of my games are owned through Game Pass, and I don't pay a dime for them. So, I mean, I pay the subscription, obviously, but you know what I mean.
I mean, the most, from what I've read, the most physical sales actually come from peripherals nowadays, which kind of pulls me into our next topic, transition. Razer, one of the major peripheral developers in the United States as well as the world, just announced that they are going to be releasing the Anzu smart glasses. So what these are is they're your basic yellow light filter glasses, but they're designed for everyday full day use. So as well as having removable and replaceable frames, they also have Bluetooth speakers built in the side. So they're great for professionals. They're being marketed towards gamers. I don't personally see the demand there for gamers, but what do you think?
Hold on one second. I accidentally exited the page and I was trying to pull it up. So hold on one second. I'm trying to pull it back up.
The IT guys are having technical difficulties.
Okay, here we go. I think it's actually pretty cool. I like the fact that that you can use prescription glasses on it. But at $200 for a Bluetooth pair of eyeglasses, which glasses in general are pretty expensive anyway. But with these, it's not like you're going to be able to use your health insurance to get these.
No, it's not.
These are going to be out of pocket $200, and I get it's supposed to help with blue light filter. And they're cool because you have touch enabled, voice assistant compatible with your glasses and everything, and it's hands free. The other issue I have with it is it says more than 5 hours of battery life, which I get. They're glasses. It's going to be hard to get enough battery life put into glasses, but you can. I'm pretty sure most eye care places have lenses that can filter out blue light. These are more for the people that don't wear glasses 24/7, essentially, like me. When I wake up in the morning, I put my glasses on because I can't see anything without my glasses.
So the way that I'm kind of looking at it at this point, the Samsung Galaxy Bud Live that I have cost me $120, and I have astigmatism. My eyes are light sensitive, so I have a pair of blue light filtering glasses. I paid $10 for them. Between the two of those, I just spent enough money to go get a new controller as well as my glasses and my headphones. Razer makes great headsets. I'm not doubting the quality. I'm not going to doubt that they're going to be durable or worth the money. I don't like the idea. We've seen this kind of thing come and go in the market before. Google
Glasses.
Ouch. Google Glass was before its time.
Great idea, but
execution
kind of is not there.
The other big thing that's kind of come out this year in terms of peripherals, I don't know if I'd call this peripherals. You found this article, so I'll let you kind of take over with it.
The Super Mario smartwatch.
Yep.
It is actually really cool, but for the price that you're gonna pay for it, it's not worth it. The whole thing is it's a smartwatch. It looks exactly like a Galaxy Watch, but there's certain aspects of it, like the little button on the side is like has a M for Mario, and it says that I'll read the exact thing. It says Mario greets you with a welcoming salute in the morning, and as the day progresses and you rack up your step count, you unlock rewards at each stage of your daily target. A different animation plays out on the dial each time. And
So here,
it's cool, but for $2,100, I don't know.
here's my question with it. It uses the Wear OS, which I believe is Android's proprietary software for their Galaxy watches
Yep.
and that kind of thing. I have a Samsung Galaxy watch. What's stopping me from just downloading the same exact thing? Nothing. That's the point.
I mean, you might be able to go on the Galaxy store and find a Mario face watch. I don't think it's gonna do the same thing where Mario greets you and stuff like that, but
I don't need that. Here's my thing. This is one of those that is made for the brand's sake. This doesn't help anybody. This isn't one of those. I mean, obviously, having Mario greet you in the morning is really cool. I'm not gonna lie. I'm not gonna lie about that. But I'm not sold on it. I think it's a brand thing. I think it's a definite money grab here by Nintendo, as well as Tag Heuer is a bit of a high-end watch company, so most of their watches are going to be in that range anyway. But I wouldn't buy this at all. I have no interest in this product.
I just want to make a point. Just imagine for a minute waking up to Mario saying, "Hey, it's a me, to Mario. Time to wake the f up." I mean,
It's for me. You're late. You're fired.
I mean, that would be great if they integrated that, but I don't think that they would have done anything like that.
No,
But-
I'm not sold on the product as much as I would be on the Razer glasses. So the difference for me, but the difference between these two, besides $1,900. So let's assume these two things are the same price range. I'm going to be more likely to use the Razer Smart Glasses because it's a product that there isn't a whole lot like it out in the field. I've got a 3-year-old Galaxy smartwatch that's going to do everything other than greet me in the morning that this does. And even then, I can have my Galaxies and go, "Hey, how you doing?"
Right, because me and you have the same Galaxy watch. We have the Gear S3, which that's you're the reason why I got the Gear S3 is because I saw yours and I really liked it. And I've tried different smartwatches. I had a one of those rugged smartwatches that
Army.
it's essentially like an army smartwatch, but it didn't have the touch features on the watch and everything. It was all buttons, and it worked for a while, but it didn't integrate well with the Android ecosystem like the Galaxy Watch does.
I think the Nintendo smartwatch I also wouldn't buy because I'd never wear it. It's one of those things that I would buy and I'd be terrified to scratch it or break it or lose it. I'd put it on a box on a shelf somewhere.
Right?
I'm not going to go paying $200 or $2,100 to put something on a shelf.
Yeah, $2,100.
So one of the other products that we came across in our last week of research is something we can put that money towards a bit more practically. Cooler Master released a egg, and I know what you're thinking. It's an egg. We can get those at Meijer. No, this is a gaming egg. So if you remember, your product. Go ahead and.
If you know from CES, I don't remember what year it was, but it was it Alienware.
I think it was Alien. It looks like an Alienware product.
I believe it's an Alienware product. They had at CES this whole chair thing that looks like a scorpion with an arm called the Predator. And what it is a gaming chair that you can sit in and recline, and these monitors come in front of you, and it gives you full immersion and everything, which in my opinion, that would be great for people like me that like to do racing games. Put the racing steering wheel up there, put the pedals down, and have a full immersion. At the same time, also being comfortable. Now,
so it is real quick point of clarification. It is an Acer product.
Acer, sorry, Acer. But Cooler Master decided that they were going to make their own version called the Giant Egg. Now, we were discussing earlier about the differences between the Predator and the Egg and where your computer sits and if the Egg actually has the computer built into it somewhere.
And I think to me that would be the selling point here. So based off the images, there's not a whole lot of information because this is just a concept product at the moment. There's an estimated price range of $12,000 to $14,000, but as far as we've seen, these are not on the open market yet. These are not for sale, as opposed to the Predator, which is for a lot of money. The big difference for me is from what we see, there's either a not a whole lot of place to put your. Here it is. I found it. There's a built-in sliding tray for your PC rig or console. Here's why I don't like that. The Predator, when you look at the Predator, you've got this massive section next to you to hold the computer. You've got this huge open air airflow. It's designed ergonomically. But when you look at the Egg, which I'm sure you're showing it, when you look at the Egg, I don't see anywhere up front where it's going to be. So that sliding tray has got to be on that panel in the back. Where's the airflow? Where is the dust protection? Where's any of that? I don't trust that on this PC chair thing, and I don't trust it to protect my computer from those kinds of problems.
And the other thing about that, like we were discussing, is people like me and you that like to get into our computer and upgrade. Yeah, it has a sliding thing that you can pull out, but I feel like with the Predator, it's going to be a lot easier to just unscrew your side panel and pop it out and change what you need to change and be done. Unless you actually have to do a whole breakdown and change like a motherboard, then that's a whole other process.
And here's the other side of it too. I'm looking right now. That Predator chair, the one they sold is for only $10,000, which only $10,000. But when you compare the two products, one looks cooler. One looks like you're in freaking Star Wars. Okay, the Predator looks like one of those Droideka things that got the big curl over head. It's less expensive, it looks cooler, and I trust it more with my computer as opposed to the Orb X, which I don't like Cooler Master products. I've got a Cooler Master fan in my server rig. I've got industrial Cooler Master products. I don't trust this side of it as much. When you feel a Cooler Master product, it feels a bit cheaper. He had an AIO that he bought from Cooler Master that he had issues with.
Yep.
If I had to choose between Acer and Cooler Master, $14,000, $10,000, I'd go with the $10,000 Acer product all day just because of what we can see about it. Now, this is still a concept product. I'd love to see more from it. But the initial showing, I'm not impressed.
I think the biggest thing with this Cooler Master gaming game pod is what they like to call it, is it's supposed to be more aesthetically pleasing. Like if you have it in your house, it doesn't look like boom in your face like a bunch of like jagged edges and stuff. It's supposed to be sleek. It's supposed to be looks like it's supposed to be something in a house. And I think that's what they're going for. But like you said, cooling will probably be an issue. Don't get me wrong, I had a Cooler Master case and fans, and they were okay. But I ended up, like he said, I ended up buying a Cooler Master AIO, and I had issues with it where it started getting air bubbles in the water cooled system of the AIO, and I ended up taking it out and just putting my stock uh, air cooler fan back in my case.
So
And
we're not trying to drag Cooler Master here. I just think that we kind of, if we're going to do this kind of platform, we have a responsibility to say this is our experience with it.
yep,
This is our genuine reaction to it. So
we're just here just to be completely honest. Nothing against Cooler Master. Like I said, I've had Cooler Master products. Not a problem with them.
my server case is a Cooler Master HAF. It's a massive, rugged industrial case, which I got from him.
You're welcome.
I trust their industrial side of things. With this case was clearly designed to be something more commercial, stronger. It's solid metal. It's a good product. Their gaming side of things, I've had personal issues with. He's had personal issues with. I'd like to see them take that step forward and fix this. But we've been sitting on this for a little bit long. I think I do want to move on while we're talking about our computers and our components. One of the biggest controversies we've had over the last couple years, especially with COVID hitting, is processors and graphics cards.
And the GTX or RTX 3060s.
So the 3000 series, when it hit, was one of the most anticipated launches that I've personally seen since getting into the computer industry, which was, 3 or 4 years ago at this point.
Yeah.
It was huge, and everybody was expecting it to be great. So, and then COVID hit. COVID affected a lot of things, but one of the big things that it affected was microtransistors and the ability to get them, which slowed down a lot of production. The 3000 series wasn't seen as much. The 6000 series wasn't seen as much as we expected. The good thing is, we're about to see a huge flood of 3060s, 3070s, 3080s, maybe even 3090s hit the market, but it's not going to be what we expect. A lot of these are secondhand cards that are coming back from crypto miners. Which, if you're a crypto miner, I have nothing against you except for the fact that you stole all of our cards. I didn't say that. But these cards are.
It's not just the crypto miners that were taking all the graphics cards either. It was the scalpers that were like, "Oh, I can get this and sell it for more expensive and get more money."
These cards are going to be depleted. They're going to have issues. They're going to be overclocked and overworked. That's why they're only going to sell for about $250 on the open market. If you're good with computers, you're good with these actual components, and you think you can fix it and do something about it, awesome. This is a great deal for you to hit. I don't know where they're going to be sold, so I'm not going to drop any links. I'm not going to say any sort of this or that. But this is just what we're expected to see, and they're going to hit the market at under $300, which is outrageous even for a newer card. That's a great thing to hear. I'm worried about their stability. I'm worried about what's left with them.
Yep. And it's sad because, like you said, a lot of us gamers that want to get these graphics cards, we just use them for a couple hours a day playing video games, and it's not super demanding. Cryptocurrency miners, they're running those graphics cards non-stop at the highest performance that those graphics cards can perform at.
It kills it's the same thing as overclocking. It kills the life and the longevity. These cards are, what, 2 years old now? A year old?
Maybe.
About less than a year old, I think, with the 3060s. The 3070s, 3080s, 3090s are a bit older than that. But these 3060s are going to be less than a year old, less than a year and a half old, and they're going to be useless. They're going to perform like a card that's 5-6 years old. So we'll drop a link in the description if you want to check out the articles. We're going to drop a link for all of these articles for you to take a look at. But I'm not confident in these cards coming out. I have a 5700 XT that I picked up just before the crash. I don't plan on replacing it anytime soon. And it's definitely not going to be with one of these cards.
Right, to change things up a little bit and talking about controversy, we're going to switch over to the Apple's HomePod mini review. So I personally am not an Apple guy, but I found this. I'm a big Google user, but it's from what I was reading, and I will make this a little bit bigger. It's saying that the Apple HomePod Mini is essentially just like Google Home or Amazon. I'm not going to say the names because I don't want anybody's stuff going off while they're watching these videos.
Jeffrey Bezos will come to your house and kill you.
But it's saying that they're at a more attractive price, more useful than Google speakers, which I don't know how that's possible because Google speakers and the Google Home ecosystem is pulling off of Google. So anytime you ask it anything, it's pulling from Google. Apple is going to be pulling from Safari, which, nothing against Apple. I am just not a fan of Apple.
Everything against Apple. I have so many problems with Apple, but that's not where you're not here for a rant.
We're not here for a rant. But they do look decent. It looks like they pulled a little bit from Google and Amazon and how these little speakers work, look and everything.
So I think my concern with the Apple HomePods is we actually have one in the house. The sound quality is awesome. Don't get me wrong. Apple has always been really good at producing quality products for home entertainment and that kind of thing. But you brought up the Google ecosystem. I've got a Google Home Hub that's almost 4 years old at this point. It controls everything in my house. I've got light panels that released this year. It controls them. I've got a brand new Nest thermostat. No problem. Seamless connection. The problem with Apple is everything they have is on a planned obsolescence track. They were sued for this a few years ago. Everything on Apple Watch, everything on Apple's ecosystem is designed to die.
Everything with Apple's ecosystem is very proprietary. It doesn't integrate well with other companies' devices.
I don't see it. I don't see it being compatible, especially in a gaming environment.
And what blows my mind away, sorry to interrupt you, but what blows my mind, because I just saw it, the price for this thing.
What's the price on it?
It says Apple first entered the smart speaker market in 2018 with the original HomePod, first priced at $349, is when it was originally priced.
Ooh, stanky. That's stanky.
But
Okay, so to
continue.
just a mirror, you can get a Google Home Hub Max, the one with the screen, or it's called a Nest Hub now. It's got a screen about this big. You can get one of those for $200. That's got a screen. You can stream to it. It's connecting to the internet. It's a much better product that does a lot more, a lot cheaper, and that's my other problem with Apple. Not Apple. What's Apple? That's not a real thing. Apple is it's less. You pay more for less.
How much did you say the Google one is?
I paid the last I checked, a Google Home Hub or Nest Hub Max, the one with the big screen, is like $200.
Yeah, so the new HomePod Mini is only 99. The original, what I was saying, the 349 was the original HomePod. This is the HomePod Mini. So think of it more like how you've got the Echo, which is the big tall one, and then the Echo Dot. So the HomePod Mini is like the Echo Dot of
Or the
Apple.
Nest Home Mini. Okay, Nest Home Mini, perfect example. I got mine for $30 brand new.
Yeah, and I think you can get pretty much any of those Google Home Nest Minis in different colors too. You got gray, you got white.
Mine's pink.
I think you've got pink for $30, and they work a lot better because they're integrated with Google.
So while we're trashing on Apple, which is my favorite thing to do, we're gonna move on to the next generation of Galaxy.
Ooh, this one I am actually quite excited about because like we just discussed, I am not an Apple person. I am a Galaxy Android user, PC. I do not have anything Mac in my house. I've got a S21 Ultra.
Mine's better because it's pink.
Well, mine is black because I actually have, and this is a good case. I recommend these for any type of phone. It actually has a built-in screen protector.
Yeah, the problem is you did pay $400 extra for an extra fancy camera that you never use. So...
I do actually use them. So,
well, the Galaxy S22, we did just kind of get. I saw it on Twitter from a very reliable leak source. I'm not going to give that because we don't want that guy getting in trouble. He's a good person. But the Galaxy S22, they just released some of the first specs for it. We're expecting a launch in January 2022. The sales of the Galaxy S20 line didn't impress a whole lot because there weren't a whole lot of improvements. And at the time, you had the Note 20, which I actually had a Note 20. It was very nice. Actually, no, I had a Note. I had the whatever Note was right before the Note 20. The Galaxy S20 and the previous generation of Note were even with each other, which is kind of standard. But even the Galaxy Note 20 that came out wasn't a whole lot of impressive. So that line kind of went under the table. It's one of those like mid-range. The Galaxy S21 took the next big step. It's got a very heavily improved battery life. There's a lot of really cool features. It's purple. That's my favorite feature. And the price line wasn't really that bad. The base S21 undercut the original S20 by $200, which is impressive in today's market. It was still an $800 smartphone, but an $800 top-of-the-line flagship is great to see. The S22 is expected to have the same thing as standard plus an Ultra, going up in price as well as performance. We are looking at a Qualcomm Snapdragon, as well as its own Exynos processor. So this is going to be a dual processor phone, which is going to be great speed. It's how they've done so far to keep up with the market, to keep their phones the fastest. I've had my phone for God knows how long now, and it's great. Snapdragon 895 is the next one to come out. That'll come out in December. That's expected to be used, as well as the Exynos 2200, which comes out later this year as well.
My thing that I'm excited for to see what they do with this phone is the actual screen. Because with technology now, you can actually, like, my S21 Ultra runs at 120 hertz or 144 hertz?
So yours runs at 120 hertz, which the S22 Ultra is also supposed to support at this point, so that's going to be cool.
And it's going to be, what does it say, 6.5 inches?
6.5.
The S22 Plus is 6.5 inches.
Which is about what this is. I believe this is a 6.5-inch screen on the S21 Plus, which is what I have.
Which I've
Um,
noticed with mobile phone companies, they went from making really big phones, they're starting to go back down in size because a lot of
uh,
people want to be able to use their phone with one hand, and with these bigger phones, it's a lot. You can't reach all the way up here.
I have a very big hand. I can reach across my entire phone. I can hold it with a pinky down by the charger with no big deal. A lot of people can't do that. The other big draw for this, and this was the big draw for the S21, is the camera is supposed to take another huge step up. I don't take a lot of pictures, I really don't, but the pictures that I do take are beautiful.
Hmm.
The S22 Ultra is alleged to have a 200 megapixel camera, which is almost double what the S21 Ultra had. So that's going to be a huge improvement. That's going to be cool. It's expected to have a 3x and a 10x optical zoom lens, which out amazing to think about. Uh,
To bring that up with the which was crazy with the S21 Ultra, it's got like I think 100 times zoom.
yeah,
And it
it
looks like it's mentions in here that it's gonna have no, that's a 50 megapixel camera. I thought it said it was gonna have a bigger zoom.
So the one disappointment that I have that I've had with phones for a while, the last smartphone I had that had this was the LG G6, which rip LG, um, was the expandable storage. A lot of modern phones do not have SD chips, do not have expandable SD cards. The S22 is not expected to change that.
Nope. And it's sad, but at the same time, most of these phones are getting up to 256 to 500 gigs in their
All cloud,
storage.
it's all cloud based. Everything is cloud based nowadays.
And that's the thing. It's like I would understand if like it was someone that had to have like all their music put on a micro SD card to put in their phone. But nowadays you got Spotify, you got Pandora, all these different streaming things. But I did want to take a moment. I don't know if you're seeing it on your screen. I want to know where they got the wireless charging pad that the phone is sitting on.
Millennium Falcon. I was looking at that. I'm a big Star Wars nerd. One of my first tattoos under here was a tattoo. I gotta find that. That might be one of the things we include on our next episode. Is where to get that. I mean, that's cool. I mean, you can't hate on that. It looks like a high speed wireless charging pad that looks like a Millennium Falcon. So
One other thing I do want to bring up about the S22 that is supposed to be coming out. Uh, well, it's on the S21 Ultra. I never do it, but apparently there's supposed to be you can record up to 8K videos.
the that takes up way too much space though. And on a 256 or 500 gigabyte hard drive in your phone, or I think it's an SSD at this point, a micro SD.2, it's you don't have the space for it. You just don't. Um, that's really all I've seen about those. There's not a whole lot. Obviously, it's going to be thinner. It's going to be bigger. It's going to be a smaller version as well. They are looking at a 4,500 plus milliamp hour battery, so it's about the same. I probably am going to wait till the next generation to upgrade. I just got this. I love this phone. I don't need a new one. I think the one thing that is cool that they keep in there to keep on the topic of gaming, and I'm a big AMD fan, is ever since 2019, these Samsung phones have had AMD graphic support, which is why they're able to go up to 120 hertz and possibly more at this point. Um, so yeah, that's going to be a cool release to see this year. It's expected to come out late December, early January, which again, not a great for launches, but that's typical in the smartphone market. Is holiday, you pre-order around Christmas, pick it up around January.
One of the other things I did want to bring up about this, because I love Galaxy phones and I love Samsung. The S22, it says that it's supposed to be a lot thinner. It's supposed to be thinner than the S21 because it's going to be a smaller display. So I know with my phone with a case, it is pretty thick. But having a thinner phone, the cases shouldn't be as thick.
Yeah, I would agree. But it's one of those things we're just gonna have to see. I mean, the Google phone, I haven't heard anything about a Google phone. I haven't been impressed with those since the Pixel 2. And they're supposed to be releasing a new one soon. The phone market's just gonna be flooded with good options coming up, and I think the S22 is gonna be continue to be front of the line. I haven't seen anything that impresses me with Apple, and every new thing that Apple comes up with, Samsung's had for 3 years. Except you've got FaceTime. Oh, my bad. You got FaceTime. Oh,
Don't forget about iMessage.
Oh, an iMessage.
Yeah.
Ooh.
I don't know if you heard about that. That's another topic that we won't touch on a whole lot, but apparently there's a rumor that a lot of Android users want to get iMessage on Android devices, which we all know that's never going to happen.
I
But
had a girl completely ghost me because when I texted her, my text bubbles were green and not blue.
that is great. All right, to move it along,
We're gonna go into our
a
last
weird.
section.
It's
Our
a
last
weird.
segment.
It's a
Um,
weird segment about different items. I'm gonna pull up yours first that you
so
had found.
I don't exactly know how to pronounce this. Um, but back in early 2000, I'm sure a lot of people have seen this. This is pretty much a late uh topic to bring up. But back in 2020, January 2020, it's weird to say 2020 and not follow it with something at this point. A Chinese company thought of a idea to make a pillow with a tail
That wags.
that wags when you pet it and gives you attention. 12 million yen was donated to help fund this. And that equates to about 1.8 million US dollars to fund this. That's unbelievable.
It's a little freaky to me because it's supposed to be like a pet. You're supposed to be able to keep calm with it, but at the same time, it doesn't have a head and it's a pillow with a tail that wags.
And they're so expensive.
Yes.
So the base, looking at the Kickstarter page. So this is the Kickstarter page. I don't know what I saw it on Amazon, but it was unavailable. The standard model goes for $83 for a pillow with a tail, and it goes all the way up to the special edition, which is $800. 800 US dollars for a pillow with a tail. So it says the special edition is it's a special edition to commemorate the Kickstarter project, and it comes in a pure white cover, and each one will be carefully handcrafted with a tag. Okay, I'm not paying $800 for that.
But I love the description of how it works. 1, stroke it. 2, feel the reaction. 3, get healed. I mean, you honestly you don't have to pay $800 to do all that. Honestly.
Oh my
Just
god!
saying.
And there goes monetization. But it's by a company called Yukai Engineering, and they wanted to use its expertise and experience to help people, including those with pet allergies. They want to help them enjoy the comfort that only animals can give them. So instead of making it a stuffed animal that's got a cute face, they made it a fat blob with a robotic tail. I would be disturbed to have this in my home.
Right. But to continue on with our whole animal theme here on tech and weird things, the next one that we're going to talk about I found, which is actually really interesting and really good if you have dogs that you need to bathe and they're hard to bathe. Um, it is called the shower attachment. Basically, what it is, it's basically just a shower head that you attach to your shower, and it's got a long arm and it's got these like water pick like looking things.
It's called the Waterpik Pet Wand.
Yep.
Is what it's called. It's a shower attachment, which Waterpik is a known brand.
Yeah. It says you might know the brand Waterpik from their popular water flossing machines, but it turns out they make shower heads, and I like how they put that in there. But
That's their wording. That's actually their wording. It says, but it turns out that the company also makes shower.
Yep. But it also says that it comes with an adapter that goes behind your existing shower head, so you wouldn't have to change out your existing shower head. You just attach this, and it's an accessory. It has an 8-foot hose with a 13-inch curved spray head, so it makes it a lot easier when you're taking the shower head over your dog's body to rinse them off instead of like how I do because I've got a Dachshund and Shih Tzu, so they're a lot easier to put in the tub. We typically just take a cup and just use the cup to rinse them off.
I have a 160-pound bull mastiff that hates hoses. I could see myself using this. I will say this is a pretty practical thing.
And what's great is it says the Waterpik Pet Wand Pro has an MSRP of around $50, but it's often on sale for less.
Yeah, it says at the very, very bottom of the article, it says $30. I'd get this and try it. Because from what I can tell from it, it also looks attach onto a hose outside if you bathe your dogs outside. It looks like a cool product, and I'd be happy to see it. You know, I'd be happy to use it. It looks like it'd be cool to use. I don't know how old this is, so I don't know how much it's had exposure in the open market, but it looks like a good product.
It looks like it would be great for any dog owners that have trouble bathing their dogs. Like you said, you have a bull mastiff that can be a pain, especially with her hip problems. Because I know her hip problems.
She's a problem. She is a problem.
But you love her, so.
Do we though?
But that is going to end our podcast / news video for tonight.
Yeah, that's kind of the big thing. We don't exactly know what we want this to be, so that's why we're just going to make this episode. It's not clean, it's not perfect, but we want to get some input. If you watch it, feel free to drop a comment. Let us know what you think. If there's something you want to see, something you want to improve, something you've seen elsewhere that you like, feel free to tell us. We'd like you to be nice, but I mean, you don't have to be.
But yeah, let us know in the comments. If you like it, like the video. If not, dislike it. Give us a subscribe. Hit that subscribe button for us. But let us know.
Notification bell.
But let us know what you guys like to see with this whole series of what we're going to be doing. Give us some input on what you think would be good.
We'd like this channel to be more as well. We want to do some of this. Got some other things we want to do. I own a private computer building company. If you want to see some tips, if you want to see stuff like that, let us know. He's been building computers his entire life. We've got a lot of knowledge in just about every area in terms of gaming and building computers. So if there's something you want to see, let us know. Something you don't want to see, let us know. Or if you're just here to be mean, go away.
If you're just here to be mean and nag on Aaron, that'd be great. I mean, we love seeing that stuff in the comments.
I deserve it. Alrighty. And with that, we are going to go ahead and end episode 1 of the Nerd Herd. To your friends, family, whatever.
Have a good night.